Hello guys, this is Justin for CG Tuts Plus, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to model, texture, and render a speaker inside Modo 401. Since I previously modeled the speaker, this is how our final shot is going to look like. I took some screen grabs to create some type of blueprints that will help us model. Okay, just takes a bit here. So you can go ahead and drag the import the images inside Modo's image tab. You can either drag and drop them, or you can click on load image and you can load them. One thing I need you guys to do is go up to System, Preferences, Autosave, and tick Enable, and set the interval to 5 minutes. I think that's default. And I also need you to go and save your scene. I already saved mine. Okay, now that we have our images imported, we can start assigning backdrop items. So we're going to go to New Item, Backdrop Item. And now we're going to select the image here. It's going to be front. Set blend, just so we don't get those jagged edges. Okay. The image is a bit blurred, but it's going to be okay. Set blend and transparency 40%. And now we're going to drag this out of the way. Up here. Okay, now we're going to rename this as image underline front. Okay, now we're going to create a new backdrop item, set the transparency to 40, tick blend, and the image is going to be top, and we're going to set the projection type to top. By default it comes as front, so we didn't have to modify it for the first image. Now we're going to rename this to image underline top, and now we're going to create the final backdrop item, set the transparency, blend, projection type to either right or left, which one we want, set this side, and we're going to drag it out of the way. Okay. And we're going to rename this. To rename an item, you can either right click rename and a little window pops up, or you can select it and then click once and rename it. So image underline side. Now we're going to create a new item group locator, and we're going to drag all of them in there and rename the group locator to reference. Okay, now that we got our image planes set up, our backdrops set up, we can start modeling. Basically, the case is composed of multiple objects, multiple parts. So we're going to have to model those individually. But first of all, we can start by creating the overall shape of the box. So we're going to start from a cube. So I'm going to hold down Control and click once, and then I'm going to have a cube pop in right in the middle. Now we're going to select the cube by double clicking. I'm going to switch my viewport to front, and I'm going to start to match with my reference here. Okay, and like that. Don't need to be exact. Okay, and now you see that the speaker has rounded corners, so we're gonna do the same. We're gonna use sub D on the case, so we're not gonna give it too many segments, maybe 3. will be okay. Okay, and we can drop the tool by hitting space. All right. Now, the front and the back are separate pieces, so we can either detach them right now, or we can detach them later. But we can probably go ahead and detach them right now using Control X and Control V. That detaches them. Okay. But if you detach them right now, if say you wanna let me hide this one using H on my keyboard. Say you wanna inset this correctly, like that, for example. Then when you unhide, you're gonna have the edge, the face that we detached earlier is gonna be bigger. So, okay, sorry, I actually have two types of keyboards installed. So that's why I'm getting that error. Okay, so I prefer not to detach them right now. Okay, now let's see what our segments are. So we have one here, and the same on the other side, plus the top and the bottom. The thing is, I'm not too happy right now with the how I split it. So I'm gonna try to split it different. First, I'm gonna add a loop slice by using the loop slice tool, which is Alt C, and I'm gonna change the mode to free and the count to 1, and I'm gonna add one right there. Okay, so this is gonna be a part, and the top is gonna be a part. So let's just try to detach the top and the bottom. Okay, now this front panel here, we're not going to use sub D on it because we're going to have to make holes for the tweeters and the speakers to fit in. So we can just either we're going to have to inset it to create that little thickness of the speaker, maybe 7 centimeters. We're going to repeat the process for the back side, 7 centimeters, and now we're gonna detach them. And I'm gonna move this inside a little bit, and now I'm gonna create the thickness of the case around this place. But before I do that, we need to know that we're gonna have to detach them. So we're gonna set up the individual pieces, and then we're gonna create the thickness. Okay, now we're gonna detach the front panel using Control X and Control V. This one's gonna be in a bit, and now we're gonna detach the top. Okay, don't forget the lip here. I'm just holding down Shift while selecting. You can either paint select or hold down Shift. Okay, so Control X and Control V. So we have the top detached. Let's hide these because we're not going to use them right now. And one thing you can do to ease your selection is just go into wireframe mode and select like that. Okay, Control X, Control V, and another piece would be this one and this one. Control X and Control V. Okay, now that we have them, now that we have it all split up, since the sides are gonna be symmetrical, we're just gonna make a cut right down the middle. So we're gonna go to snapping, grid, and we're gonna use Shift C, which is the slice tool, and we're gonna make a cut right down the middle, and we're gonna delete half of it. Okay. and the top is going to be symmetrical to the bottom. So we're going to go to front, and again, right down the middle. Turn off snapping, go to wireframe mode, delete the bottom half, go back to perspective, and now we're going to have to thicken the pieces. Now we don't need to thicken this here because that's going to be where they will weld. So now I'm going to just hide everything but the selected piece, which is Shift H. And now I'm going to try to bridge these two. So I'm going to go Edge, Bridge, and right here I'm going to try to okay, it's a bit hard to do it, so I'm going to hide everything. Okay, let me just see how to make that cut there. Okay. Okay, so it's, well, one thing we can do is just remove this edge, because we don't really need it on the top side since it's not going to be separated. Okay, but we're gonna need it for texturing purposes. But we can always add it later, like now. Okay. Okay, so this is the top, which is done. Now we can set our action centered origin, go to duplicate and mirror, and it's done. Okay, now we need to bridge the inner part here. So just selecting an edge, the following edge, and then I'm pressing up arrow to select the next element. So edge, bridge. Okay, and again we're gonna have to remove this one and add it. Okay, and that's about it. Now let's jump over and do this side. Okay, and bridge. Okay, now we can just either bridge these, or you can use P to create a polygon. Okay, we don't need that one. Okay, and then we're gonna use the same for this one. Again, I'm gonna select this edge. I'm gonna use edge extend, which is Z on the keyboard. Drag it here, spacebar to drop the tool. Then I'm gonna bridge them, and I'm gonna try to straighten them out. Okay, and that should be it. Okay. Okay, now we can hide these two. and we're gonna start mirroring stuff. So we're gonna mirror this one. Make sure you set your action center to origin. So mirror this one on the z-axis. I'm sorry, on the y-axis. Okay, and we're gonna mirror this one again. One thing you need to know is that if you have merge verticals on, it's I'm sorry, it's gonna merge no matter what. So we're gonna have to move it to a new layer if we want to merge stuff automatically and not risk merging something else. Okay, now we can remove that edge, and now we're gonna move it back. We're gonna repeat the process. I'm just using Control X and Control V, which is cut and paste. Okay, so now we're gonna have to bridge these because I forgot. Okay, and we're gonna mirror on the y-axis. Okay, and that's it for now. But one thing we need to do is we're gonna delete this one, and now we're gonna set up our support edges to make sure that stuff remains sharp. So we're gonna just select those two polygons, and we're gonna use loop slice for this. We're gonna set the mode to symmetry and a count of 2, and we're just gonna click once and then drag, and then we're gonna get a sharp edge right there. Okay, and another one here, maybe at 1%. Okay. Since the distance is not the same, the cut value is not going to be the same either. So, okay. Now we're gonna add one in there. Well, it appears we have a problem that I did not notice. So we're gonna have to undo some steps. Okay. So it appears that the slice is not going all the way around. So we're gonna have to see why that's not happening. It's probably because of this edge. And see here. 1. Okay. That's our problem. Okay, so now we're going to have to unhide everything and make that cut again. Okay. And now it's going all the way. Okay. Okay. Oops. Looks like we have something very odd going on here. I don't know what happened, honestly. I probably selected more polygons than I needed to. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Happens to the best of us. Okay, so now we're gonna start adding those support edges. But before we do that, let's just go here and save our scene. See, now the edges are going all the way around. Now we're gonna change the mode to 1, the mode of free and the count to 1. Okay. And now we're going to add one more down there and there. Okay. Finally, save our scene using Control S. And now we're going to repeat the process for this bit. Okay, this is basically a cube, so we're going to change the mode to symmetry and the count to 2. And we're going to add them in. Okay, and we're getting those very, very smooth corners because we have a very big distance to smooth. So we're going to add more edges here, set it to uniform, and just like that. Now the corners should be a bit sharper. Okay. Okay, I think this is all right. Now we're gonna repeat the process for this bit. Okay. And now we're gonna have to match the edges right there. Okay. And these don't appear to be matching. I think 0.7, 0.8. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna have to add two more edges here. Okay, just like that, and 2 here. Okay. Save our scene. And now we can finally we can finally mirror them over. So we're gonna move them to a new layer, set our action centered origin, which is already done, and mirror on the x-axis. Okay. We're gonna move these back. We're gonna mirror, and we're gonna move them back. And the same for this one. This one's gonna be mirrored on the y-axis. Okay. There we go. Now we're gonna do the oops. Looks like the box was not centered enough, and it doesn't match anymore. But that's quite an easy fix. We're just gonna hide these. Well, actually, we're gonna move these to a new layer. Oops, forgot to copy them. Okay. We're gonna go to the left. And we're gonna move them just like that. Okay? And I think there's one thing we forgot to do. That's add 2 more segments that way, and 2 more segments that way, and 1 segment here, and 1 segment here. Okay. Okay. And we're gonna look up here. Appear to match. Okay. And they match like that. Although we're gonna scale them a bit up so you don't see the polygons. too bad. Okay. Well, one thing we can do to make this easier is delete that. See, they don't match right now. So we're gonna unsmooth everything. We're gonna remove those edges. We're gonna select the bottom and we're gonna move it in place. Okay. And that's it. Now we're gonna add 2 uniform edges that way, and we can smooth everything back up. Save our scene. Now we can copy, actually, yeah, we can copy a loop like that. Make sure you don't get any of the inner polygons. Okay, we're gonna copy them over here, and next we're gonna select the we're gonna to the top. So go to the top, and we're gonna scale these on the z-axis down to 0. That will ensure us that they are perfectly aligned. We're gonna go to Vertex Merge Tool, hit 1 millimeter, and it should be merged. Okay. Now we're gonna remove those edges. Repeat the process for the bottom. Okay. Okay, and now we can flip them, and we can, oops, actually accidentally clicked O. Okay, and now we have our thingy here perfectly aligned. We're just gonna drag it in a bit. We're gonna copy paste it. We're gonna drag it on the other side and flip it. Oops, I did something. I think I moved it. Okay, and now we're gonna create the save. We're gonna create the back side here. It's gonna be nothing complicated, something simple, but just something that shows there's a bit of detail in here. So just gonna bevel it and inset it. Okay, and next what I'm gonna do, just gonna hide that for a second, and that one. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add an edge right here. Okay, and I'm gonna make another inset on this one. Okay, and it doesn't really matter if we have angons, because we're not gonna do anything more to this piece, so we can just leave it as it is. Okay, if you want, you can either triangulate this, but it doesn't. I actually prefer to look for it to look like this, talking about the wireframe. Okay, so that's about it for this, except that you see we have a bit of a hole in there, which means we need to make this stay. So we're gonna add 2 more edges there, and we are gonna repeat the process on this side. Okay, and it should stay now. Yeah, it does. And now, just to make sure it's sealed, we're gonna edge extend this a bit down, and now we're gonna scale it using the blue handle, the circle one. Okay, and we're gonna extend it just a bit like that. Okay, it doesn't stick through, but it just seals off. Okay, we can save our scene. And now we can go ahead and create the, actually the front is okay just as it is right now. We just need to add a bit of a thickness to it. So I'm going to use extrude, which is X, polygon extrude. Sorry. Okay. And we can, we're not going to smooth this. So we're just going to leave it as it is. And one more thing we need to do to wrap up this part is to create the holes for the speakers. Okay, so I'm gonna just go. Let's name all our layers. So this is case layer. We're gonna leave it as mesh. This one for now. We're gonna hide the bottom part. We're just gonna leave the front part alone. So we're gonna go create a new mesh item by creating, either go to new item and click mesh, or you can press N on the keyboard. Okay, and the hole for the speaker, actually the holes for the speakers, I'm just gonna create a cylinder with I don't know, maybe 30 sides, and make sure the radius is equal. Okay, I'm gonna center it on everything, and I'm gonna put it in place. I'm gonna set my action center to origin, and I'm gonna mirror it on the y-axis. See, that's the problem. It's not centered, so we're just gonna copy it the old way. Okay, and now I'm gonna make some holes for the tweeters. Okay, these are the parts of a speaker that handle the high pitch notes. Okay, and just like that. Now we're gonna go over to the perspective view, switch to shaded. We're gonna extrude these just like that. We're gonna move them, and we're gonna hide the case, save. And now we're gonna go over to this layer, go to geometry, boolean, subtract background. Oh, I'm sorry, the mesh needs to be closed. So one way we can go around that, if you have a high density mesh and you don't really know where the hole is, go to solid drill stencil, and you're gonna have a hole. Now, regarding this fat angle here, you can either triangulate it, or you can either leave it as it is. Won't really matter in this case. Okay, and now we're gonna select these. We're gonna bevel them inside, just like that, and delete. And now we have the holes for our speakers, and we're gonna use the bases. Actually, we're gonna use these cylinders as a base mesh for our speakers, so we can start modeling them. Okay, and one more thing we need to do before we wrap up this part. We need to be in the right viewport. Okay, we're gonna create the base foot here. You can see. Okay, so we're gonna create a new mesh item, We're gonna create a box, and we're gonna start and scale it to match our needs. Okay, just like that. Okay, you can, I don't know, you can do whatever type of foot you like here. You don't really need to follow with me on this one. Okay. Actually, it needs to be like that. Okay. And the corners are actually rounded a bit. Actually, we forgot to scale in the right direction, so we're just gonna select the top polygon. And we're gonna just scale it on the on the X and Z axis. So go to right wireframe, and I think 95% is gonna do okay. And we need to round off those corners, not too much, since this is gonna be sub D. Think like that. That should be okay. Okay, so we're gonna connect those points. Okay, we're gonna make an inset right here, and then another inset. Oops, not too much. And we're just gonna go up like that, and a tiny bit more of an inset. Doesn't really matter since that's gonna be the underside, but if you're bothered, you can delete polygon. I'm sorry, hit P on the keyboard. Hit okay. Okay, hit B once, click, and then you can scale like that, and that should be okay for now. Now we're gonna add some support edges. Okay. We're gonna cut this like that. Make sorry. Okay, so 5% there, 95% here, and just like that. 5, 5, and like that. Okay, and now we're gonna make an inset. So instead of selecting all of these polygons one by one, you can just select the one in the middle, hold on shift and hit up arrow once, and you're gonna have your selection. Okay, and that's about it for this leg, except for these those feet, which we're gonna make from creating this I'm sorry, copying parts of the case. Okay, so copy those, paste, okay, go to front, use B for bevel, sorry, use B for bevel, and then just move them up, down, and scale them to 0 on the y-axis. Okay. Just like that. Now we're just gonna delete those bottom polygons and we're gonna move this down. Now we're gonna create, actually we're gonna need to go to the either right, front, or whatever, and using slice tool we're gonna make a slice. Okay. Now we're gonna bevel these outside. We're gonna select that loop and drag it down, just like that. Okay. We're gonna hide this part, save our scene. We're gonna delete this loop. To select the loop, you just select two polygons and then hit L on the keyboard. Okay, and now we're gonna have to add the support edges. We actually want a smooth transition, and in this picture the legs are rather straight, but I think that with this shape right now I kinda like it, except that we're gonna need to bridge this part here with this part here. Okay, except that we're gonna need to have a sharp edge here at the top. Okay. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I kinda like it like that. Okay. Maybe even more in. Okay. And I think that should be okay. We're gonna add one more segment here just to ease the smoothing. Another thing that we need to do is select these bottom vertices and just move them right there. Okay. Okay. That should help us fake a bit. Okay, and now we're gonna go to the top and we're gonna make this a little smaller. It's rather wide right now. So 32 centimeters and minus 32. Okay. I'm gonna move it right here. Use Control C and Control V and move it into position. Okay, so for now, this is how our speaker looks. And I just hope you're gonna follow the next part of this tutorial. And we're gonna continue with modeling the actual speakers. Thanks for watching.